our world. And our world is been shaken today by a couple of issues. One is the Malaysian Flight 17 that was shot down. And if you are a praying person, to pray, and then I will close. Lord, tonight we ponder the question that the psalmist asked when he said, "Why do the nations rage?" Somehow instinctively we know at least part of the reason, because everyone in these places are human beings just like us. We know that in ourselves there's always the tension between having our own way, listening to other people's opinions, getting what we want, advancing our own agendas. So on a global scale, that means war. On a city scale, that can mean conflict, disagreements, and sometimes the severance of relationships. I thank you for these people in this room tonight and the mantle of leadership they carry. But I ask, Lord, that this group, not just tonight, but hopefully always, will be known as peacekeepers, as people who work together for the good of the whole, and that you will bless them with humility and wisdom to do just that. I ask these things tonight in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Please be seated. I have the proxy for Bob Brooks, who is out of the country in London at his daughter's funeral, or wedding. Wedding. Okay. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? I'm sorry. None? Hearing none? Okay. I entertain a motion to have the June 19th regular board meeting minutes approved. All in favor? Okay. The next item on the agenda, again, maybe it's because the weather outside is a little bit threatening, and tonight with the pastor's invocation, a little somber occasion. The next item, Tommy, is a tribute to General Manager Howard Hellerstedt.
I would like to take a few moments to pay tribute to a former Bella Vista Village General Manager, Howard Hellerstedt. Howard passed away on June 17, 2014, at the age of 66. Howard was a West Point graduate who served in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for 21 years. His service included a tour in Vietnam, where he received the Bronze Star of Valor, as well as various posts around the world. Howard joined Bella Vista Village as Director of Public Works, then became General Manager in January of 1992 until he left in June of 1998. He made Bella Vista Village a better place during the 6 years he served as General Manager and was always planning for the future. Howard was active in numerous civic organizations as well as a frequent participant in the village amenities. He is remembered as a no-nonsense leader that liked to have fun and cared about all that he came in contact with.
Thank you, Tom. General Manager's report.
Just wanted to update everyone on our delinquencies that we do bring in about once a quarter to show you where we are. And essentially, we're still about normal where we have been over the last 6 months or so, not seeing any increases or decreases. And we still are significantly below what we were back during the 2011-12 period. As far as lots that have been sold at the judicial auctions, to date of June, we're about equal to what we sold in 2013. And as you can see, about 15% or so behind what we did in 2012. Our judgments of foreclosure that have been obtained so far, we're running about 260 as we have been for the last 3 years. Online lots sold on our auction have been considerably less through June of this year. We're down to about 54, showing that certainly we did a lot of promotion in this period of time. We have been reducing our promotion, and I think we are seeing some of that. As far as moving to our total E, in June's activity, we worked in the T-sheet setup with golf operations. We continued to work on setting up all the users and their roles. Started the discovery process for recreation, and of course we have never had any kind of really POS system at recreation. We've always used just a hand count there, so that's what we're working on there is working out a process for them, and also training on the T-sheets and the price level setups. The month of July, we'll start working on the boat slip and the mooring setup at membership services. Again, there's been no POS system for those things. Also, we'll be working on adding in the RV park and the gun range, which have not had a POS system, as well as the T-sheets and the golf setup will be continuing to be worked on. And again, the project is still on schedule for the end of the first quarter of 2015. Something I wanted to bring to your attention that we will be bringing up later on, we're going to recommend refinancing of our 2009 issue water bonds. We have worked with our underwriter, we've worked with Cruz & Associates to look at some different options, and our recommendation will be that we keep the same payment, just at the lower interest rate, which will shorten our term, and should save us about $800,000 over the remainder. We would hope that we would be able to move in September and close those in 90 days, so around November. What we're recommending will not do anything as far as the reserves that we have. We want to keep those intact until we have found out what the U of A study is saying about the shape of our asbestos cement pipes. And so we plan to bring this forward at the August work session. So you'll get more information as we go forward on that. Just to give you a little bit of the activities or some samples of the activities, the fire hydrant was broken by a city bush hog this last month, and if you recall, a car hit one the month before. We also had to extend some for some reasons. Bridgewater, this is our master pump station that for many years has served most of the water in Bella Vista until we put in the west side boiling system. We had to replace the meter in there. Water valve replacement. I know we're having some difficulties with the tie-in with the station, so I think that's what's causing this. Water valve replacement. We had to do one of our major water valves. New meter installations. We had 14 one-inch service line leaks that we had to replace. Water main repairs. Outside hydrant repairs. We also, this is over on the Highlands. We have a couple, or 3 of these fans, and the neighbors were complaining about the noise they were making, asked us to put them on a timer that at certain periods in the evening that they would have, the fans would not be running so that they could enjoy their deck, and we did try to accommodate that. Someone backed into the service areas at our RV park storage, RV park site that had to be replaced. We did complete repainting all of the village signs with the black lettering. We had to replace an area here on the lookout at Tanyard Creek as the dam or the overflow there at Lake Windsor. Also, I believe a car ran into this fence there. This is our new pump station that's over there at Cooper School, and we have allowed Cooper School children to use this facility. They don't have a lot of room in their area, and so they use this facility for PE, and they had requested that we fix the fence. Did some replacement work over at our mini golf over at Metfield. Metfield pool pump had to be replaced. We have talked about, as the fire marshal has asked us to do, Knox boxes at different ones of our facilities. We've added those in. This is one that we've done in golf maintenance. I believe we only have 2 left. These cost us in the neighborhood of about $700 to $1,000 to get these in. And so we have been spreading those out. And I think there's only 2 of them that he has requested that we still need, and we've put in probably in the neighborhood of 20, something like that, over the last 3 to 4 years. We had to replace the ceiling in the Branchwood Mechanical and Pump room. This is for the pool. We had to do some work on the Kingsdale pool. Metfield Golf Pump House had some deterioration. We also had to replace the door. Veterans Wall of Honor, we had to replace the pump. These pumps go out pretty quickly. We replace this one, I think, about once a year. Cleaning up the grease traps in restaurants, repainting one of the areas. This is over in the maintenance building. Just because of the weather, nice frequent rain, we've been getting a lot of grass growth, and so mowing has been a real challenge for our people. And they continue to do a good job. One of the things that I'm going to be bringing forward in the very near future is I'm going to put together some slides of these type of needs that we need to begin to talk about and begin to plan how we're going to work on those. Tennis complex is just continuing to show you the different areas that are needing work and what we are doing as far as our maintenance of our yards. So we mow many acres on a weekly basis within the village. And then, of course, we have our edges, mowing our trap and skeet field, loading clays for our trap house. Now that we have this storage unit, we're able to get them through an 18-wheeler. Before we had to go do those ourselves. Stump dump maintenance, water cuts repairs. We're still catching up on those. We got way behind on those when we focused our crews on trying to recover from the August flood, and so we're still trying to catch up on all the water cut repairs. Grading a road into the Tudor pit, we're going to be using, or we did use, this red dirt here as fill around the Country Club pump station. We are always finding people using our facilities that shouldn't be. This was somebody who was not even a member or a guest that we were called and told that we had a jet ski on the lake, and so our rangers had to go over there and check on that. We also found a paddle boat with no registration out on Lake Windsor that we still had not found the owner for, as far as I know. One of our pontoon boat rentals was drove into the gas dock. Blowing Springs had a little of a power outage last month, lasted about 5 hours. This will affect the RV park. We did have a abandoned boat at one of our pontoon mooring slips, and we are trying to find the owner through the state. Storm damage that we had at Loch Lomond, tree fell. Just an interesting thing, they had a wedding party taking place over at Blowing Springs, and there was a newborn deer there, and they asked us to come in and just to save it. Golf rounds are holding steady, a little bit less than last year, but certainly not as well as what we had thought, and we have been blaming the weather for that. An interesting note that Clem Morgan brought up to me, he was looking at his numbers from the pools and found that he was under from last year. And when he got to checking it, a lot of it was the usage of the greens, because we allow their members to come in, swim for free, and then we back charge them. And that's the only arrangement that we have, but he is about 50% down on the greens usage from last year. Whether or not that is tied to Vacations Rental and their marketing staff that they have reduced or what, but we certainly are seeing a difference there, and our speculation is that we're probably seeing the same effect in our golf courses that are also, we have no way of tracking that. We've been talking about overseeding. I know that talked extensively about that at the golf committee meeting last month. We've been getting a lot of emails because certainly between the weather and the winter that we had with the winter kill, that our fairways are certainly not in good shape this year. And as you can see, and we've been tracking this and showing pictures of these comparatives for about 3 or 4 years now, that overseeding certainly does hinder when we start trying to come out of transition. Another picture of that. This just shows once we have sprayed out the overseeded, and then between that and the winter kill, that just gives you an example of how bad some of the areas look. The pump house construction is almost done. The skid, they were going to start setting all that up, and they had the crane scheduled for tomorrow, but because of the rain that was forecasting, that has been put off until, I believe, next Tuesday. Cart path repairs going on at the golf courses. Just examples of some of the areas that we're repairing winter kill. And we did bring in a couple, 3 truckloads of sod to try to repair that. We did have to go down and clean out the intake. This is for the Scottsdale Golf Course irrigation, and this is at Loch Lomond. Repair the waterfall that the Friends of the Highlands built at Highlands Golf Course. Just continuing to do the things like the tree trimming, brush hogging negative areas around the area in our golf courses. We also have started trying to clean up some of the area around Branchwood. 35 dead trees were removed, mainly along Glasgow. We also have mowed that area, and we'll continue to mow that area on a weekly basis throughout the summer. We graded access to the damage area all through the valley so that we can get equipment down in there at Branchwood, and we did bush hogged it, and we will continue to do that on a bi-monthly basis throughout the summer. We treated the pond, filled it with water. We were getting complaints because it was looking so bad with all the duckweed and the weeds and stuff that was growing. And after we filled it, we checked it, and then we tried to keep it full for about a few days, and we've estimated it's going to cost us about $3,000 a month to keep that pond up at the full level. We are researching what it would cost us to clean out it and to put a clay liner all around it. We are continued, though, that even though we've done all this work, it's still not a safe area for walking, so we will continue to have the signs there that are warning people of that. And then, of course, our normal maintenance tasks, top dressing greens, aerating tees, aerating the roughs, fertilizing the fairways. We added nutrients to Lake Avalon once, and then also to Lake Windsor when they reached the criteria that has been approved in our management plan. We also continue to have to treat filamentous algae. This was at Loch Lomond. We've had especially problems with it in some of the coves this year. As far as events, Rally for the Cure happened in the month of June, and this was the luncheon. We had the Master Trail kickoff meeting that was hosted by the foundation, the Bella Vista Foundation, as a part of the work that's being done with the city and the POA with the Walton Foundation. Cancer Challenge. Cancer Challenge, they also have a shooting meet as well. Some other activities, mental manners, swim meet, and that concludes my report for the month of June.
There's a couple of items in the general manager's activity report that I want to just highlight. One is we've asked to keep track of new property owners on a monthly basis. In the month of June, we had 109 new individuals that were not previously property owners by property in Bella Vista. The other thing I want to point out is in 2013, we had 30 new home permits. In 2012, we had 27. In 2011, we had 20. Our high mark was in 2005, where we had 966. My point being that if we would continue to attract new homes or new homeowners in Bella Vista that are activity users, that would help us significantly from a financial standpoint. So far through June of this year, we have 20. So we're showing a bit of a improving trend, and that's obviously a good thing. Anyone else have any comments about general manager's report? Okay. Response to previous open forum comments, at the June board meeting, a member commented about secrecy of the assessment proposal process and had some comments about the assessment that we were looking at. We've appointed 2 volunteers to the ad hoc assessment proposal committee, Roger Norbeck and Pat Lowry. And the minutes of the ad hoc committee are posted on the POA website under board and committees and minutes. There's minutes for the June 16th, June 22nd, June 24th, and June 30th, and July 2nd meetings. The other 2 activities that some of the ad hoc assessment committee members were involved with were meeting with POA members at the swimming pools and at the Metfield movie night. So there's been a certain amount of activity by the ad hoc committee over the last month. Open forum. If you please approach the microphone and give us your name and address, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ken Nelson. I'm from 14 Kirkridge, Bella Vista, Arkansas. And I visited you folks last Thursday morning.
Yes, you did.
And I was quite pleased. And first, I want to acknowledge the efforts that this board is making to try to resolve some of the issues as we go forward. I've talked to an infinite number of people in different numbers of situations, and rather than burn up my yada yada time, I created a, for lack of a better word, kind of a parable or an analogy of the situation as I see it right now, and I called it the Cadillac. And it says, how many of you are driving a 22-foot Cadillac burning premium fuel at 49 cents per gallon? Probably none, but here's my analogy. Bella Vista Village is that Cadillac. Back in the good old days, it was the place where people who paid their work dues came to retire and play. Well, not so much in 2014. Check out golf rounds since 2006. This is not a news flash. People's lives have changed, and Bella Vista needs to change. We can no longer afford to drive that Cadillac. However, we can't just go down to the dealership and trade it in for a sleek, high-mileage foreign model. Real estate doesn't work that way. So what do you do when the wife wants a new house and the budget says no? You remodel the kitchen and hope she's happy. Well, our budget says no, so we have to remodel the kitchen. Now we're getting somewhere. A Bella Vista remodel is in order. However, the declarations that created that Cadillac, as good as they were, are now so badly out of date and archaic that this board and every board since the turn of the 21st century cannot find their way to the repair shop, and the old caddy, Bella Vista, is in serious trouble. Those declarations and mandates forced desperate measures by the sitting board in 2001 by serving up the 2-tier property system. they got the caddies some points and plugs. I don't have a clue if that board had any long-term vision or gave any foresight to the long-term consequences of that action, or it was just said, we'll let those guys figure it out. Well, you all are those guys. We have to find a solution, and those declarations are still in place, and the repair shop is moved to Rogers, Bentonville, and other places in northwest Arkansas. Now, regarding an assessment increase, which is the focus of tonight's meeting, with those declarations in place and the damage done with the tiered system from 2001, this 2014 board is in a very difficult or almost impossible situation. The last $22,000 vote failed for any number of reasons. Name one. All those objections are still out there. And the premise of that ballot was $1. $1 for unimproved lots and reduced fees or free amenities. That's as close to the two-tier debacle of 2001 as you could get. And the unimproved lots still did not seize the moment. Wow, what were they thinking? A $12 increase spread in Benny's 2001 was only $8. The improved lot owners dodged a bullet. Where do you go from free? Since last Thursday's meeting, I reviewed my POA history, and information, including information supplied by this board, including the thought I should be careful what I wish for. I might get it. Thank you, John. Additionally, I have personally talked with many individuals and all their different reasons and agendas for voting yes or no. I have my own survey list. Well, let me state for the record, any assessment increase that can't be validated and determined to be able to bring Bella Vista into the 21st century without the burdens of the 20th century declarations is not on my wish list. There is no assessment number combination that will satisfy both classes of membership and still pay the bills for very long. So I respectfully request that this board reject any consideration at this time until further consideration can be given to our total long-term situation and solutions. It's time to start at the top, reinvent Bella Vista. This board has the opportunity to be the board that parked the Cadillac or became the architects of the 21st century Bella Vista. Or you can go forward with how many $50,000 studies, $22,000 ballots, burdened with those 20th century declarations, having to deal with membership and their individual agendas, including my equal percentage platform, which I still stand strongly behind, and as it was published yesterday, so I'm not going to dwell on that, which will keep the old Cadillac wheels spinning, never again to gain traction. So does this board, with the help of membership, want to be the architects of the 21st century Bella Vista, or just keep the old Cadillac's wheels spinning? I've got a whole litany of why people are ticked off. You guys don't need this list. You probably all got your own. But at any rate, I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ken.
You bet.
Thank you, Ken. Mr. Norbeck.
I encourage the board tonight to go forward with present something to the membership. As I told you before, the only proposal I saw that was worse than the one you put out was the one that we put out when I was on the board. So anyway, I think you have a very opportune time now. The membership has told you you really messed up. If you go back with something more reasonable like you've already discussed, I think you're giving them the opportunity to say, okay, we'll vote for this. You messed up before, but now you're listening to us.
Thank you, Roger. Mr. Parsons.
I'm Jim Parsons, and I'm chairman of the Bella Vista Patriots, live on Lake Avalon. It just seems like as the years go by, it seems like you keep asking for more money, and it seems like our being able to find out where the money's going decreases. One of the issues right now that I see the most is KFSM, that we can't call it an agreement because I understand we don't have an agreement with them. I asked for a contract. We don't even have a contract with them, and yet we see $35,000 coming, shifting hands between KFSM and the board, and I asked the board, where can we see that $35,000? And they say it's so little, it's so minuscule, we don't bother to write it down. And I think, my goodness, how many of the $35,000 are not on the record somewhere where we could look at them? looking at your golf regulations and rules, why it says that you can play golf about 3 different ways. One of them is that you can pay your assessments, have an ID card, and you can play. Or you can be a guest of someone who has an ID card. Then further on down, it says that anyone can come and use the amenities if they pay the proper price. I think, my gosh, what privilege do we have as a member if anybody can walk in here, pay the appropriate price, and play? I'll give an example of this, be very specific. My son came up for the LPGA tournament to see. He and his wife followed that closely. My son is a high school golf coach, and a very good one. His girls won 2nd place in the Texas tournaments, and that's quite a prestigious thing. And I usually don't play with him because I'm out in the woods picking up ticks and chiggers while he's going ahead and finishing off and telling his score. I feel like I'm leaving him behind, and I just really don't want to play that way. So I don't. So this last time when they came up for the LPGA tournament, he wanted to play golf while he was here. So he phoned ahead, no prompting from me, and called the golf operator and said he wanted to come and play golf. And they said, fine, it'll be $43. Come on, and your tee time is 10:15 on the 28th, and come ahead and play. Didn't have a guest card, didn't pay amenities, didn't pay assessments, didn't go with me or a person that has a card. He just called in, laid down his $43, didn't give his name, naturally, because if he'd have said Parsons, they'd have thrown him out of here like I was the last meeting when I was here. And so he didn't want to say his name, but nevertheless, anyone could walk in, evidently, and play golf. And so where are our privileges, and what do we get for paying our assessments and being a member and buying our home here? That's my question. What do we get out of it? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Dan Johnson. I live in the McKenzie area. And I've been a homeowner here for only 1 year. We moved here a year ago. And I very much enjoy the community. We were looking for a place to, I retired some time ago, but a place, a retirement type community. Considered other places, Sun Cities and that sort of thing. And they all charged at least $1,000 a year, $1,200 a year. So I thought, well, you know, the fees here are pretty reasonable, really. I didn't like all of these individual little charges that follow you around. Seems like nickel and dime you. So I didn't like that. So when your assessment increase projection came up, I said, sure, yeah, that still seems reasonable to me. But I'm hearing all kinds of things from people that I run into. I've heard more here than what I used to hear any place. And I'm getting to think, well, what in the world did I get myself into? And so most of it seems to go back in the past. Most of it is to this point maybe immaterial, maybe not. But like all governmental agencies, and I think this is somewhat of our local government, they're always looking for increases. But in those increases, you really wonder, you know, are they really trying to be more careful with the money? Are they doing budgeting? Are they doing assessment, needs assessment? Are they doing, we used to do in the corporate world, an overhead value analysis. You know, you look at what you're getting and what you're providing and we'll see if it's redundant. Perhaps you can cut it. There's all kinds of things the federal government does that we all know are wasteful. And so therefore, you know, people start thinking all levels of the government, including the POA, is wasteful. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But there sure is a lot of evidence that there's a lot of waste in government. Let me just say that. I went down the other day and got a fence permit. Going to the office over there, I was the only one there. Here's one lady, and here's another lady. This one's for the city of Bella Vista. This one is for the POA Architectural Committee.
That's not us. The Architectural Control Commission is the developer's entity.
Okay, I
It's
did
not
not know
POA.
that. Okay, I did not know that. But my point is, and it probably is true in other areas, my point was, here I gotta pay money here, I gotta pay money there, there's two people in the office, I'm the only customer. Boy, that doesn't make any sense. So whether you have anything like that elsewhere in the village, we need to do assessments, we need to look and see. I liked Mr. Nelson's thoughts about if you're going to raise one 20%, well, raise the other one 20%. You ought to have some equity in the way things go like that. But, you know, truly, I think if you put out another assessment projection here, people I don't think they feel any different. I think there's going to be some who don't say a word. There's going to be some that say no. There's going to be some that say yes. I said yes before, and I'll probably say yes again. But there's a lot of people who won't bother. They just won't bother for many, many reasons. And, you know, what's different? Why do you think this one would go if you go immediately? I think you need to do some better communication out there. You need to try to plug those holes of why everybody, you know, you could do perhaps more of an in-depth investigation on why people aren't voting or why they vote no. There seems to be, and I don't understand it really, but a lot of feelings that you haven't communicated enough in these past years, months, days. I really like the Vista. That seems to be a real good tool for communication, written well, and I've learned a lot about the village since subscribing to that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Anyone else?
My name is Dan Beck, and I live on Ray Lane. And my statement will be very brief. I support Ken Nelson's proposal with one minor exception, and that being for people, pardon me. Yeah, that being for people who have both an improved lot where they live and maybe need an adjoining lot, unimproved, for a septic drainage field or whatever. I think that particular type of person should be maybe exempted from that $4 or 25% increase and let it remain at $2 for them, because they're in effect paying for the use of the amenities and other stuff that the POA needs the money for through their primary assessment on their improved lot. So that'd be it in a nutshell. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you very much. Moving on the agenda, old business Bella Vista signage. Ruth, can you give us a little report?
Not to repeat what we talked about at the work session, we met again this week and formulated a general design framework so it could go out to prospective people who want to present designs. We also worked on location signs and put in categories. We used those submitted by the JACs and add them to the overall signage in Bella Vista and tried to come up with a framework to use there also. Other than that, I think we're pretty well waiting for designs to come back and then move forward.
For those of you who aren't familiar with what Ruth is discussing, these are the signs on the highway on the north end and the south end of Bella Vista. And in working with the city, what they're looking at are entrance signs on the west and the east side of the village also. And what we've worked out is an arrangement where there's going to be a cost-sharing facilitation between the city and the POA. So that's kind of where the progress of that is. Moving on to new business, we are pleased to announce that Jack Allen and Dick Hartman are the two new members of the election committee. Dick is here in the front row this evening. I don't see Jack. We would like to thank John Allen and George Hutchins for their service as members of the election committee. We're also pleased to announce that Tony Byers is the newest member of the Recreation Joint Advisory Committee. He's filling the position created when Joan Glebzinski was appointed to the POA board. There currently is one open position on the Recreation Joint Advisory Committee. Any members who might be interested should contact Kathy Ferguson, the POA Secretary, for an application. Next item is the assessment plan. John?
Thank you, Fred. The assessment ad hoc committee met. The assessment ad hoc committee met 7 times in the last 2 months. We had dozens of interactions with groups around the village, gathering information, and we have an excellent survey that's available online that currently has over 800 responses. We used that information in forming our proposal. The committee considered the following things as important in the process. One, that the plan be simple and easy to understand. It needs to be easy to explain. There should be few, if any, conditions or dependencies. Example, there's no fee schedule attached. There was some discussion as to the plan being fair. There were a lot of definitions of the word fair. Some people it was the same dollar amount. Some people it was an equal percentage. Some people it was a consideration of value for different groups and what they got out of the assessments. And the last criteria we used, well, what was most likely to pass. It doesn't do a lot of good for us to recommend a plan that we don't think has a chance of passing. The committee has proposed an assessment increase of $6 in improved lots and $2 on unimproved lots. Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that the board submit that proposal to the membership of an assessment increase of $6 on improved lots and $2 on unimproved lots.
Is there a second discussion? Mike?
I appreciate all the work, John, that your committee has done, and I appreciate the fact we had membership involvement. From the people I've talked to and my own personal views, I think it's the wrong time. I think that we're going to run into two things basically. We just had a proposal go out and fail significantly. I think that the timing for this would be better served if we waited until next year at the time we have our regular board elections, rather than spending another $25,000, $30,000 for a special vote. The other thing is we're going to be in direct competition with the millage increase proposal for the city of Bella Vista for police and fire pension plans, and I think also the Gravette school system. So I think if the membership has to make a choice of what they want to increase their monthly or annual fees for, if we're going to compete with the public services, police and fire and schools versus the POA, based on history, I think I can tell you where the votes are going to go. So I am opposed to doing it at this time for those reasons.
Anyone else? Dave?
I'd also like to thank Roger and Pat Laurie for their participation in the committee and all the committee people for the work they put into this. There's been some conversation relative to the unimproved lot owner, the non-resident lot owners not voting, and that we shouldn't be concerned about the unimproved lot owners. I wanted to point out that of the last eight since 1987 assessment votes, we've achieved a quorum in every single one of them except this last one. And in every single one of those assessment votes, the unimproved non-resident lot owners outvoted the improved lot owners by 70%. Their average response was 75%, high 77, low 73. So you cannot ignore the unimproved lot owners. Now, we know from our previous surveys of unimproved lot owners that they will not stomach much more than $2. In fact, $2 was at the very high end of what they'll tolerate. So if you're going to go much more than $2, you're probably going to lose a significant amount of unimproved lot owner votes. Now, if you're concerned about equality, and I am, That says that if you go with $2 for an unimproved lot owner, the best you, or what you should do for the improved lot owner is $3. That makes them both 12.5%. That will only net us, if it's successful, $900,000 a year, which, to be perfectly blunt, is like peeing in the ocean to raise the tide. It's not going to help much. So, I believe we have some work to do. I don't believe we've put enough thought into the equality issue. I don't believe that we've done enough belt tightening and looking at the cost side of the equation. We've done a lot. We asked the general manager for $1.4 million in reductions this year. He gave us $900,000. Close, but we can do a lot more. So I'm opposed to this proposal.
Anyone else? Okay, call for a vote.
The motion is to present an assessment plan increase to the membership with a $6 increase for improved lots and a $2 increase for unimproved lots. All in favor?
Thank you.
2, 4, 5. All opposed? Abstaining or opposed?
Are you
Abstain. So the motion passes with 5 votes in favor, 3 votes against, and 1 abstention. Mr. Teal has Mr. Brooks' proxy, if that was not stated previously.
What we need to decide with this vote then is the timing of the mailing of the ballots. And that may fall on you, the cash, for a certain extent.
Yeah, there's some definitely background work that has to go into determining who, you have to fix a date for what you want to determine when a member's in good standing, what that date is. Then a proposal has to be mailed and at least 30 days notice given to people before a vote is held. So,
You need to get closer to
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first step is to determine a date for a member in good standing. We have to determine what that date is. We then will create a list of members who meet that criteria, come up with a ballot, of course, the language that we want on the ballot, and mail it to those members in good standing, and then at least 30 days after that, the vote could be held.
One of the other things that the ad hoc committee's been working on is a couple of concepts to try and market this. What we've identified are a group of what we're calling influencers, individuals that have contacts with different groups that have contacts with different groups in the village, and John Nuttall has led that effort. You want to maybe go into that a little bit?
Yeah, one of the things that we learned when we were out talking to people is that certainly a large percentage of people had no idea that we had an election, possibly as high as 40 or 50%. Even more didn't have any idea what the POA did. I had a lovely chat with 3 ladies sitting at the swimming pool that had never been to a POA event or facility. And we didn't really think we were going to have any luck getting them through conventional methods like email and stuff. And the idea of the volunteer influencers is to get people to go out and get people to vote. I mean, it doesn't matter what everybody votes. We do need to hear from everybody. And all of our influencer information is designed to get people aware of what's going on, show them where to find the information that is important, and make a decision and vote. We need a quorum to do anything, and that's one of our primary goals is these people is to get them involved and going. And for any of you out there that are interested, my name and phone number are on the website. Send me an email or give me a call, and I will be happy to help you with the material, give you some answers to some questions, and let you get involved in the process.
There have been a couple of meetings set up with the influence to get started, and one of the things that we wanted to do is have a handout. Where is that? Is that something we could show? Is this what? Yeah, do you want to do that? That's not it. Next one. No. There we go. Okay. What we're proposing is something that addresses the general questions that we seem to get. Why does the property owners association exist? Why do we need the money? Why is an assessment increase necessary? Why can't we raise fees and will an assessment increase solve our long-term financial problems? And then what we're thinking about is sort of a slogan moving forward together. And a simple, this is the assessment vote, and we'd like you to vote in Melody. So that's what we're proposing. Any comments to that? Pretty simple. The other thing that we need to discuss is what we allocate as far as budget for this. Obviously, if we do some kind of promotion in the nature of, banners or something like that, there's going to be some cost element associated with that. And I'd like to just entertain people's thoughts about, what they think is an appropriate amount. What we're trying to stay away from is a concerted effort to encourage people to vote yes. All we're saying is this is an assessment vote. Get informed, look at your ballot, make a decision.
Can you compare what we paid for the last vote?
Yeah, last year, our last vote, we allocated $7,500. John?
I would like to propose that we do something in the $10,000 range so that we have an opportunity to spend a little more effort getting the people we missed last time. Maybe some more signs at our facilities, and of course we're at a better time of year, so people are out, which makes it a little easier.
Right.
So my idea would be about $10,000.
Any further discussion?
This is Brad Morris. I like the idea of $10,000. It seems to make sense because I do think we need to do more in the way of publicity. Whether it's door-to-door handouts with some high school kids. We need to get to people who unfortunately don't even read the Villager, don't subscribe to the Villager, etc. And one way to do that would be to do door-to-door handouts to 12,000 residents. And as long as we're spending that money to encourage a vote, not necessarily a yes or no vote, I have no problem spending money, POA dollars, to encourage POA members to vote.
I'll just piggyback on that and say we know that a lot of people weren't aware the last time, and it cost us $7,500. So at the minimum, we need to spend that again if we're going to raise awareness and get close or surpass the quorum.
Okay. There is a general manager's contingency account that currently is, I think, has a balance of 100 and.
We've used some of it.
Yeah, I know you've used some.
See how much that was.
I saw it this afternoon, and I didn't make a note of it.
There's still 136.
Okay, so there's 14 that has been taken. That, the contingency fund is designed for capital But if it's the board's prerogative to reallocate that from a capital expense to a operating expense, then that account, which is already in existence, could be used for that purpose.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we allocate $10,000 from the general manager's contingency account to be used for the promotional material for the special assessment vote.
Have a second? Second. Okay. Discussion? Mike?
Again, I'm sorry, since I could not vote to go forward with the assessment plan, I would feel I would be betraying my own thing if I said I would support spending the money. So therefore, I probably will not vote for it.
Understand. Any other comments?
Likewise, I can't vote for it either, but I just want to remind you, however you spend the money, the only time since 1987 that we did not achieve a quorum was this last election, in which the non-resident unapproved lot owners turned out only 4,400 ballots, as opposed to over 7,000 for the resident. It's the first time that's ever happened. It's usually just the opposite.
Just the opposite.
So however you decide to spend that money, you need to focus on the non-resident, unapproved lot owners, not handing out handbills on resident doors.
That's a very good point, Dave. Thank you. Okay. Any further discussion? Call for a vote.
The motion is to allocate $10,000 from the general manager's contingency account for promotional purposes relating to the assessment plan vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Abstentions? She voted in favor. Okay. The vote passes. The motion passes.
The only other comment I have about this is with regard to any type of affirmative support, we would look to the members to provide that. We're going to try and be communicating the necessity for the increase and urging people to vote however their conscience directs them. And to the extent that there would be a need for particular support in one area or not, we would look to the membership to follow whatever direction they believe is appropriate. Okay? Any other comments about assessment plan? Okay. The next item on the agenda is screenplay recommendation for Branchwood. The Recreation Joint Advisory Committee met on Monday, and part of what they have been working on is a recommendation for the Branchwood Golf Course land. And the meeting on Monday resulted in a proposal that was considered by the Recreation Joint Advisory Committee but not finalized. And their indication at their meeting was that they will work toward a final recommendation product, which they plan on approving at their next meeting in August and then submitting to the board. So my sense is that since the Recreation Joint Advisory Committee was tasked with coming up with a recommendation, that we may be a little premature at looking at what we might be doing with green play at this point. Does anyone have any other comments about that? Mike?
Yeah, I don't want to be negative all night long, but I absolutely have a desire to not spend any more money with green play on this. I have here a copy of the amenities study that we did in 2012. Branchwood has been an issue since June of 2011 when the well failed. There was an estimate of $140,000 for a well to put in there. We ended up using potable water. Water wagon going around. Then we had the flood last year. And the courses, the greens have not been maintained. To bring it back to a golf course level of any kind of condition, based on some numbers I looked in the past minutes of board meetings from last year, was somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000 and up. I think we have enough expertise in Bella Vista. We've gone through 2 recreation committee recommendations about Branchwood. When Green Play was here, we did a survey for $50,000, and we haven't really made one decision out of that. So I don't want to spend another $9,000 or $10,000 and have another boat anchor. I'm sorry. So we have enough expertise around here, trails people and other things, that I think we don't have to go to Colorado to get people down here to tell us how to use our land.
Any other comments?
Do we know to what extent the golf committee is making recommendations?
The rec committee?
Rec committee.
What
extent they're making recommendations for the land use, or whether to go outside help, or?
I think both.
Yeah,
You have to speak in the microphone, please.
Sorry, the primary objective is to look at the land use. And yes, the last recommendation was to look for expertise, so outside help.
I certainly recommend, my recommendation would be that we wait to see what their recommendation is to go further.
If we were to defer a decision on this particular topic until we receive the recommendation from the Recreation Committee, is that something that the board would support? Would someone care to make a motion?
Make a motion when we have to receive their recommendation. I make the motion that we wait to see what the recommendation is before we act on this.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call for a vote?
The motion is to wait for a recommendation from the Recreational Committee before going ahead with any vote on the green play recommendation. All in favor?
Okay. All right. Committee reports, rules and regs. Mike?
I'll try and keep this very brief. We had a representative from the election committee, Bob Nellis, come out and visit with us and talk to the committee. And we're going to be looking at some recommendations he made regarding the ballot to try and keep it simple in the format, because he felt there was too much information on the last ballot and confusing to people. So he thinks that he wanted to clarify the fact that there was a need for having POA staff people, the IT department, and membership services participate, but he didn't like the idea of having POA staff members looking over his shoulder when they were doing work. So we said we would discuss that and discuss that further. We also looked at the draft policy 2.06 regarding member conduct, and the committee felt like it was a little too broad brush, and wasn't definitive enough. There was some concern about some issues where we've had member conduct being abusive and language and threatening and so forth to POA staff, people. But the committee felt like we needed to have a little bit clearer definition of what constituted misconduct on the part of a member, because a member can have their privileges suspended for up to 30 days for misconduct, but we really don't have an existing policy that defines it well enough. So we're going to take another look at that. There was also a discussion about guest cards and having the POA sponsor guests so that they could use our amenities. We also discussed the idea of using a change to the declaration similar to what they have at Hot Springs Village. Hot Springs Village has a member designator form where a property owner who pays full assessment fees, and Hot Springs Village is the same whether you're an improved lot owner or unimproved, but they can designate a member card to a renter or to whoever they want. They give up their particular privileges for the use of the amenities at member rates. They can designate that to a renter or whoever they want. And that's good for like a year at a time or something like that. But we would have to make a change to our declarations to do that, which I'm going to try and draft something that we can present to the membership. But the idea is that we've had a lot of members say, you know, I have renters, I'm paying the $24, I'm not using the amenities, why can't they? Well, it's because our declarations don't allow it. And so the only way we can change that and get more residents, not just property owners, but more residents here to use our amenities is if we would make that change. So we will be looking at a draft change to the declarations that we might want to take forward to the membership. That's all I have.
The Communications Committee met on July 7th. There was a recommendation that the committee rename itself Marketing and Communications Committee, and that's something that we will formalize going forward. We also looked at a development of a budget for an internal marketing position as well as a job description, and we talked a little bit about the Village Voice and what we'll do to continue the current format for the next two issues of 2014, and then discussed renumbering pages and possibly returning to bi-monthly publications in 2015. We're looking at possibly eliminating insights and combining the information that currently is in the Village Voice and insights into a single publication, and then using inserts periodically in the water bills to communicate what information might be available. Then we're also coordinating with the implementation of Totally software to determine whether we can figure out a way to access members' emails. So that'll give us a more cheaper opportunity to communicate. And then, let's see, that's basically it for the Communications Committee. Any Joint Advisory Committee reports?
Golf met last week, and guest rounds were exceeding budget, but obviously member rounds were down. There were 6 cart days on path and many afternoon rains, which caused some of the afternoon golf rounds to be missing. They also talked in detail about the overseeding and the things that Tommy talked about tonight, and Keith Imes represented the fact that there would be a USGA representative here on August 13th. It's a Wednesday, and the public is invited to join them at Scottsdale at 10 o'clock. And then there'll be an afternoon meeting as well as the golf committee in the afternoon, to talk about the various things, overseeing as well as other items. 3 truckloads of sod were brought in for winter kill on tees, and they're looking good. And in the last week, I would say that some of the fairways have really come out. We're in pretty bad shape for a while, so.
Dave?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, you jumped from new business to committee report faster than I could grab the microphone. I wanted to bring something up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just a
I'm
short,
sorry. Yes.
the fly tires this morning had a fly tire family offer to donate $1,000 to the POA for the purchase and installation of a fish cleaning station at Lake Rayburn. Fly Tires Club then voted to match that with another $1,000, and so we will be presenting POA Vern, I guess, $2,000 for the purchase and installation of a solar-powered cleaning station.
Thank you, Fly Tires. No, that's very good, and I'm sorry I went that fast. The Recreation Committee met on Monday, July 14th. There were a number of items that were on a list of things that were small item improvements that apparently have a huge impact for a small group of members. For example, the pool table at Reardon Hall has been in need of resurfacing for as long as a lot of people have remembered. And we've had difficulty finding someone that has the expertise to do that. And fortunately, there's now someone in the area, so if anyone has a slate top pool table that needs to be resurfaced, we can give you the recommendation, because the guy did an absolutely terrific job. And so the folks that play pool at Reardon are extremely pleased with that result. There are also, a lot of you have noticed the repainting of the lettering on the direction, or the informational signs, I should say. There's over 50 of those in the village, and they were finished on schedule before the end of June, so that's really good. There's still some coordination going on with the master trail plan for the city, and let's see, and the work that the Joint Advisory Committee is doing on the recommendation for the Branchwood Golf Course land. So that's basically it. Anything else, John?
Yes, I went to the Lakes Committee meeting this week. Bob Tucker is the grips guy. Bob Tucker, the guy that does the geese. I'm sorry, Bob Tucker, if that's not the correct name. Just completed his annual survey for the geese control, and has declared the policy a great success. And I understand that we only have 13 or 14 new geese in town, so I'd like to congratulate him on that. There was, for those of you who are interested, read the minutes. There's a very interesting conversation about stocking fish that's, for a fisherman, I think would find quite interesting.
Any other items? The next General Manager Board first Thursday meeting is Thursday, August 7th at 2:30. It's a closed discussion meeting. The next Board of Directors work session Thursday, August 14th at 8 a.m. in this boardroom, and the next Board of Directors regular meeting Thursday, August 21st, 6:30 p.m. in this Country Club Board meeting room. I'll accept the motion for adjournment. All in favor? Thank you. We're adjourned.